Namaste everyone. My name is Arvind Swami. I'm the Vice President of Operations here at Hindu University of America. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, based on where you stay. Greetings and welcome to our webinar. So let me share my screen. So today's webinar is titled as Vedanta and Sankhya. It is going to be conducted by Dr. Kuldeep Dhiman. A quick introduction of Dr. Dhiman. He has master's degrees in English, philosophy, Sanskrit, and graphic design. He earned his doctorate in philosophy from Punjab University. He also did a course in journalism from Writers Bureau in UK. He has published books, the Yoga Vasishta of Valmiki, the Ultimate Iconoclast on the philosophy of Rajneesh, and many more. Currently, he is making YouTube videos on the Yoga Sutra in English and Hindi. He has been teaching Sanskrit through the Bhagavad Gita for the past 3 years at Punjab University. And this has proved to be a very effective method of teaching Sanskrit indirectly. He also teaches Yoga Sutram online. Dr. Dhiman has also investigated over a dozen cases of reincarnation, and his studies on reincarnation have been published in India and abroad. He is now known for his reincarnation research around the world. His other interests are music, photography, and cinematography. Here at HUA, Dr. Dhiman has been teaching courses on the Sankhya Karika. Sankhya Karika is a Sanskrit text that is written by Ishvara Krishna. It is a short and succinct text of only 72 Karikas, that is short explanatory verses, on Rishi Kapila's Sankhya Darshana. As many of us might know, Sankhya is one of the 6 Hindu darshanas. And Dr. Dhiman has been teaching part 1 and part 2 of this course for the past few quarters here at HUA. And in this upcoming quarter, he will also start another course, which is called as Vedantasara of Sadananda. And in today's webinar, Dr. Dhiman will talk to us about these courses as well as some of the core philosophical elements of Hindu Dharma. So with that introduction, I will hand it over to Dr. Dhiman. Take it away, Kuldeep.
Namaste, dhanyavadaha. Swagatam to all who are present. Arvind Swamiji has already introduced me. Now I'll talk about the course and the way it is conducted. There are many ways to teach philosophies and texts, but I personally feel that I prefer to teach through the original text itself. Like you may have read Vedanta in books, through papers, lectures, but most of the time it's through indirect sources. I would prefer to teach you directly from the source, because what happens is only then you'll get the real feeling of having learned it. And it's all right if you don't know Sanskrit, that's fine. The reason I prefer to teach from the text is that way I eliminate myself from the between you and the text as much as possible. You directly go to the text. Now what happens most of the time, there are many interpretations of the same thing. One scholar says something, another scholar says something else, and third one says something else, and you don't know. For example, regarding Vedanta, some people say, according to Shankaracharya, the world doesn't exist at all. It's a mithya. And they quote, the thing is, because you have not read the original text of Shankaracharya, you can't check whether the translation is correct or not. So it's always better to be in touch with the original text. And for that you would need, if you're not an expert in language yourself and philosophy, you would need somebody's help. And it's always better to learn this text through someone. These days these texts are available freely everywhere, unlike the past. So what has happened is And because most people know the language, they understand, so they think they can understand the text also, but that's actually not correct. You may be an expert in English, you may be an expert even in Sanskrit, but if you don't have the philosophical background of that particular text and the context, so it will be only misleading. Whatever we read and understand would be just a misunderstanding. So it is always better to go to an expert, ideally a guru, who practices the teaching of that particular branch. But if that's not possible, at least someone who has studied it fairly long enough to give you a clearer picture of it. So that's the importance of text. Once you start reading the text, you'll start slowly, your vocabulary will increase of that particular language. So when the vocabulary increases, you will be able to study other similar texts and understand and follow them. For this reason, I chose Sankhya Karika for the Sankhya class, because Sankhya Karika is a very short text. 70 karikas. One karika is a shloka. Shloka is a verse, two lines. So 140 lines. Can you imagine to state the entire philosophy of Sankhya, which is so deep, in 140 lines? 140 lines will not occupy more than 2 pages of a typed script. So see that brevity Ishwar Krishna has managed to achieve, and he has almost completed, touched all aspects of Sankhya. So it's very important that it's better to learn directly from the Karikas. Similarly, to teach Vedanta, I chose Vedantasara because it's as brief as the Sankhya Karika, and the language is very clear and crisp. And this text also touches almost all the aspects of Advaita Vedanta. Most of us, when we study Advaita Vedanta, we go for the Upanishads, we go for maybe the Bhagavad Gita, etc. But all that sounds very good. The teachings in the Upanishads, we get impressed by that. But the thing is, the comprehension is not that much, because the fundamentals are not there. So that's why I chose Vedantasara, because once you go through Vedantasara and understand the fundamentals, you will understand any Vedantic text without the help of anybody. So that's the beauty of it. And you will, in research and everything, it is always better to read in the original language the text was composed. This is, I'm not scaring you, but I can tell you it can be done even if you don't know a word of Sanskrit. I assure you, if you are really interested and determined, you can slowly, you don't have to study for 11 years. In 1 year or 2 years also, you can learn fairly good amount of Sanskrit to appreciate the beauty of the verses, the beauty of the philosophy. Because what happens is, in translation, a lot is lost. First of all, it's often the bias of the writer. Every writer has, they have their own biases, their own viewpoints. So that's one thing might mislead you. Secondly, there are some words which are not possible to translate into other languages. In these texts, especially Sanskrit texts, there are some words which cannot be translated properly into another language because that concept is not there. For example, the word Ananda. Ananda is generally translated as happiness or bliss, at the most supreme bliss. But that's okay, it gives you some idea, but that's not doesn't give you the exact idea what Ananda is. Then what is Sukha? If Ananda is happiness, then what is Sukha? Sukha and Ananda are not synonyms. They have a totally different meaning. So what I do is I take you along with me. We read each verse. I would like to, if you don't mind, if you give me 5 minutes, I'll show you how the class begins. I share the screen. Where is the share screen here? See, this is Sankhya Karika. Some of you may unmute yourself, if not the video, so that I know whether you're following me or not. At least some yes or no I should hear. That way I feel it's a live class. Oh.
So, Kuldeep ji, actually the people who are attending, they are in webinar mode, so they will not be able to interact with you.
Okay.
But you did mention
At
that
least
there are some students from your past course who have joined, who are joining the webinar. So I would
yes.
request that if there are students from the past course, please send a message to the panelists and hosts so that we can recognize you and we will have you speak.
Okay. Until then, maybe Arvind ji, you may just respond yes or no to whatever I'm saying.
Yes. Yeah, we can see your screen. We are able to see your marking.
Then you can see my screen. Okay. And all those who are present, I would like you to see, I give this in the original Sanskrit. The red is the original text, right? This one in the black is all the compounds broken up. And those who can't read Devanagari, I also given in the Roman script. So you can see this. Will not take too long for you to follow this. I would like you to repeat after me. Sattvam. Arvind ji, you may repeat so that I get some idea how much time it takes. Sattvam.
Sattvam.
Laghu.
Laghu.
Prakashakam.
Prakashakam.
Ishtam.
Ishtam.
Upashtambakam.
Upashtambhakam.
Chalam.
Chalam.
Cha.
Cha.
Raja.
Raja.
See, whenever there is a long word like this, I normally break it up and then make you practice it, as one whole. But this is just a small demonstration. So, Sattvam Laghu. Arvind ji, Sattvam Laghu.
Sattvam Laghu.
Prakashakam Mishtam.
Prakashakam Ishtam.
Upashtambakam.
Upashtambhakam.
Chalam Cha.
Chalam Cha.
Rajaha.
Rajaha.
Guru.
Guru.
Varnakameva.
Varnakameva.
Tamaha.
Tamaha.
Pradeepvat.
Pradeepvat.
Charthato.
Charthak.
Vritti. Vritti. Okay. After making you practice once or twice, then this word meaning Sattvam means Sattva-guna, Laghu means light, like that. Each word meaning is given, and then after that also the translation of this. So that's all in the sharing mode. I'll stop sharing here.
So Kuldeep, we have Arunji here who has taken both your courses in the past, and
yes, Arunji.
Right now, Arun Narayan.
Namaste. Okay, welcome, Arun. Namaste.
Namaste. So, students from past courses, please identify yourselves in chat.
All right, and then I share all these PDFs with you. All the PDFs, which the notes that I have made, these are my notes. I made them specially for teaching online like this. So all these notes will be given to you. Plus, I mean, right now I'm talking about Sankhya Karika, but even Vedantasara. I suppose most of you have come here, they've come here for Vedantasara. So in the same way, Vedantasara also, each text will be explained, word meaning given, everything, and the PDF shared with you. Apart from that, extra reading material also will be given to you, and the original text also will be shared with you of some writer, so that you can to keep that also as a reference. Apart from that, I also give, because in the class there is no time to make all of you chant. Even if there are, say, 10 people in the class, finally, to make each one of you chant, then that would take away more than half an hour or 45 minutes. So what I do is I give you a recording separately. If you're interested, you can later listen to the recording and improve your pronunciation. I really recommend that you must recite, or if not recite, at least pronounce the karikas or shlokas as often as possible. See, this class is a kind of marriage between traditional method of teaching and modern method of teaching. Modern method of teaching, I'm using this online things. I keep using these PDFs and so many other things, charts and diagrams. These are very useful modern methods which make thing easy for you to comprehend. Charts, diagrams, and such thing. And apart from that, I also use traditional methods of teaching. And our traditional method of teaching is, first you should learn how to pronounce the, let us say these shlokas are there, verses are there. The guru used to make you, let's say there are 100 verses, some text has 100 verses. The guru would make you chant those 100 verses, even if without knowing them, you may not know the meaning, nothing. They just make you chant and you go on repeating the text so many times. This is called patha. So once you are through with the pronunciation part, when the guru starts teaching you the real verses, it becomes so easy because you're familiar with it already. You don't know the word meaning, but at least the pronunciation, so many things you're familiar with. So that's how. So that's what I've taken here. I've tried to follow both methods, the best of both, and whatever is possible in the current, and a lot of discussion during the teaching and after the teaching. Both are encouraged. During the teaching, I encourage, because sometimes if you don't understand a word or a concept, then if I go ahead in the shloka, you'll not follow the rest of it. So if it's that urgent, you can always stop me and you can ask me a question. I haven't understood this point. And after that, I teach, say, one shloka or whatever. Before going to the next one, I always ask you whether you have followed it. Each one should follow. Even if one person in the class hasn't followed, I always wait for that person until that person has understood. And in this, other students have always been very cooperative. They don't mind. They don't mind, if the other person asks the same question 50 times. You can ask the same question 100 times. I don't mind. I'll never get upset. Keep asking. But if you haven't understood, don't say you have understood. So unless everything, it should be, and by the end of the course, whatever, whether Vedantasara or Sankhya Karika, it should be firm in the head. The knowledge should be firm. And many, so this is how it is wherever. And I'll also share other videos of other acharyas. There are so many good YouTube videos. So wherever I find, wherever it's possible, I share that. And at the, suppose we are doing 3 verses in that is our average, say 3 or 4 verses. So we have done 4 verses for today. Then after that, you can have long discussion. You can go on asking questions related to that, and sometimes even not so directly related. This is
So,
the,
sorry,
yes sir.
sorry to interrupt.
No, please go ahead.
Yeah. So, actually, before we even talk about the texts and the course, we have several attendees, including myself, who are not very clear on the subject itself. So, the basics of what is Sankhya, what is Vedanta, would you please shed some light on that? Have
Okay.
questions from participants on that.
Right. See, there are, the philosophies born in India are generally classified into 2. One is called the Astik Darshanas. Philosophy is called Darshana in Sanskrit. So Astik Darshanas and Nastik Darshanas. In Nastik, darshanas. We have Charvak, that is the Indian materialist. We have Jainas and the Buddhist philosophies. They are called Nastik darshanas. And on the other hand, we have the Astik darshanas. In that, we have 6 major schools. One is Purv Mimamsa and Uttar Mimamsa. Uttar Mimamsa is also called Vedanta. And then we have Nyaya and Vaisheshika. These are the logical school. And then we have Sankhya and Yoga. Sankhya and Yoga, they are all in pairs, because Yoga takes the philosophy of Sankhya. Yoga is a practical aspect, and Sankhya is the theoretical aspect, the Siddhanta Paksha. So because Yoga largely follows Sankhya, uh, so it is important to understand Sankhya. You can't understand yoga without understanding Sankhya first. You can do yoga. See, that's a different thing. Doing yoga and meditation, then for that you don't need all these theories. If you get a good guru who teaches you techniques, fine. But suppose you want to know, the mind. Some minds will keep on asking questions. Why? And they want to teach. People want to teach. What is happening is people most people in the world are teaching yoga. So many are that, but they have no idea of what yoga is. Just one or two yoga chitta vritti nirodha here that they just memorize, but the theoretical aspect they know nothing about. So that's lacking, and that can be fulfilled only by learning Sankhya, and not just Sankhya, Vedanta. Those of you, or whoever studies Sankhya and Vedanta properly, only they can understand Yoga Sutra properly, because yoga takes a lot from Vedanta also, right? And there's lot of Sankhya in Vedanta, and Sankhya also has many things similar with Vedanta. These are not watertight compartments, all these philosophies, and they're not opposed to each other as we are made to believe. They're complementary.
So, Kuldeep the question is a little bit more basic. What exactly is Sankhya?
No, that's what I'm getting there. So these are the 6 philosophies of the Astik, those who believe Veda, those who take Veda as the ultimate authority. So that's why they're called Astik. Now, Sankhya is purely analytic kind of a philosophy. It's a philosophy, but it it stresses on thinking and analyzing intellectually, rationally. There's no dogma here. Nobody is teaching you the God said this or Paramatma said this, nothing like that. They give you it's the facts. This is what it is. Now, in the beginning of Sankhya itself, Sankhya Karika, he says he's not, Ishwar Krishna doesn't talk about God or Paramatma or any Devata, nothing. He goes straight to a problem. And what is your problem? That's the problem of everybody in this world. It was the same problems for that 5,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago. Same problems are there now, and same problems will be there in the future. And he talks about the 3 types of miseries that we all suffer from. One are psychophysical miseries. The internal miseries are there. Our physical problem may be there, our mental problems may be there. We keep worrying. So this is a problem. And then external problems are there. Enemies, insects, and all sorts of threats, competition, and all that. Because of this, we are disturbed all the time. And because of that, we may have all the resources, all the money, but we can't enjoy life. Because to enjoy life properly, you need a mind that is quiet. You just try it yourself. Suppose there is something in front of you, a dish in front of you which you love very much, and you have been waiting for it for a long time, dying to have it. And the mouth is watering, you're going to, just going to eat it, and suddenly you get a phone call. And that phone call gives you some very bad news. Now tell me, will you be able to enjoy that dish now? You're hungry, you wanted to have it. Can you? I doubt you can't. You can't do that because the mind got disturbed. And once the mind is disturbed, then nothing will work. And so it's important even to enjoy life, even to be a hedonist. You have to be a yogi first. Only a true yogi, only a true yogi can really be a hedonist. Only a true yogi can enjoy the pleasures of life. Most of us, we have those pleasures in front of us, but when we are having those things, we are thinking about so many other things. Office is bothering us, some stock market is bothering us. How can we enjoy it? To enjoy, you have to be there. So Sankhya says that you can get rid of these miseries by knowing the true nature of the 25 tattvas of the world. This whole universe, according to Sankhya, is made up of 25 tattvas, the 25 elements. And he says you should know their true nature, what they are, what they do. I won't go into the detail now. So that's what Sankhya says, that you have to just do that. You have to do nothing else. No practice is required, because your misery is because of wrong knowledge, avidya. So to, if you have wrong knowledge, the only antidote of wrong knowledge is right knowledge, not some practices. You may do puja, mantra, tantra, all that will not help, because you are suffering from, you are subject to wrong knowledge. Wrong knowledge can only be corrected by right knowledge. Just like darkness, you can't beat darkness. You can take a sword, you can do what you like, nothing will happen to darkness, because a sword or a bomb or something, it will do nothing to darkness. Only thing that can dispel darkness is light. Similarly here, this misery that we are suffering from is because we take this body mind to be ourself, our true nature. We think this is atma, this is me. That's what we say. And because of that, the problems of the body and the mind become our problems. So Sankhya says once you get true knowledge, this close relationship between the mind, body, and the Atma breaks, and that's how it's. Then your miseries will end. So this is what Sankhya says. You have to do nothing. But
So,
Sankhya,
Kuldeep ji,
yes,
if I had to summarize what you said, just for the benefit of our attendees here.
yes,
So, Sankhya
yes,
is essentially a Hindu philosophy that takes a first principles based analytical approach to understanding everything in the universe, the nature of
yes,
the universe, our own self, our relationship to everything else in the universe, what is the experience that we have, and why do we have this experience. So it is not
correct,
based on any blind faith or any of the dogmatic principles, but it takes almost a scientific first principles based approach to understanding, breaking down the universe into the components and understanding the relationships between them, and what our role is there, what is our experience of it, and why do we go through that experience, and how we can have the best experience of life. Right? Is that a
right.
summary of what Sankhya is?
That's what it doesn't say. Moksha is something after you die. You get something after you die. Sankhya promises moksha right here, here and now. He says, what is moksha? Moksha, that is liberation. What is it? Just you get free of these three problems, then that's heaven, that's moksha. You don't have to die, because what's the guarantee of after dying what happens? Whether Atma really, you get another body, or whether it, how do you know what happens? But what happens now, that's more important. So, Sankhya says right here and now. And in fact, ideally, at a very young age, we must learn Sankhya or Vedanta, such things, so that we lead our life very peacefully. See, by learning Sankhya, it's not that our problems are going to disappear, the internal and outer. It's not that earthquakes are not going to happen, disease is not going to strike us. All that will keep happening, but we will not get affected by it. That's the only difference, is the viewpoint, the shift of viewpoint will take place once these are done. And these are practical things. You try these in your life and you will see the difference. But you have to try, not just theory, not just reading, and then you have to put it into practice. Many people who have studied with me have put into practice, and they say it has made some difference to their life, and that gives me great satisfaction. Even if 10%, even if 5% difference it makes, so that means it works. And then you practice a little more, you will you will do much better, and you will not be affected by the problems of life. So this is Sankhya says, And then yoga and others, they say no, something has to be done. Sankhya also agrees. Sankhya is not against yoga. Sankhya says, yeah, something has to be done, but as a preparatory step. Just as a field, if you have a rocky field full of thorns and weeds, if you try to grow some crop there, it will not grow. So you have to clear those weeds and all. So that's what yoga, meditation, all these things do. They clear the ground for you. But the thing is, ultimately, it will only through knowledge. Knowledge means not this bookish knowledge, self knowledge. The knowledge of the self only will free you of these sufferings, nothing else. So this is what Sankhya says, and this is exactly what Vedanta says in a different way. Vedanta says it in a different way, but they Advaita Vedanta and or what is called Jnana Yoga, which you may have heard, they say only self knowledge is enough. But then there is other wing which says just self knowledge is not enough, because for so many births, or there's so much of layers and layers of ignorance on us. So you have to do something. So we need preparatory steps. For that, you may need some meditation, you may need some yogic asanas, you may need other mantras, you may need so many things. So this is basically, and Sankhya, Samyak Khyayate, that means to analyze the thing properly is called Sankhya. Some people say Sankhya got its name because it believes in 25 tattvas. That's not entirely true. Even Vedanta believes in a certain number of tattvas. Even Shaivism believes in 36 tattvas. Then even Shaivism should be called Sankhya. No. Sankhya means right knowledge. Right now, we have knowledge, no doubt. We see with our eyes and nose, and smell with our nose, or with the five sense. We get knowledge of the world, but that's misleading knowledge. That's avidya. So by jnanam, by knowledge, these texts, these darshanas mean the knowledge of the self, the right knowledge of the self. So this is the basic promise made by these texts, that just by understanding. See, if you got an, say let us say, laptop, it has got spoiled, and you don't know anything about the laptop, will you open and start repairing it? Would you start repairing it yourself? You have no idea of what a laptop or inside. If you open it, you'll only spoil it. So
Okay.
if you want to repair it, you have to first know how it works. So that's why the Sankhya and Vedanta both say first to understand how this nature, what this nature is, how this world came about, what are the powers behind this world. Contemplate, think, are you just the body, are you just the mind, are you just the senses, are you... So that's how they urge you to think, they push you to think, and then you, after that, you they answer all your questions one by one. It's not that questions won't be answered, so your questions will be answered one by one, and that's how it works. But let me tell you that everybody may not like the Jnana Marga, because this world is made up of two different types of people. Some are more analytical, some are more practical oriented people, some emotional people. So those who are very analytical, those who want to ask, those who keep asking questions, there are many who say, don't give me all these tattvas, all that. I don't want. I just want to a peace of mind. Give me some mantra, give me some asana, yoga, or something. That's all I want. Because they don't want to think and analyze, because they don't have the talent for that. They don't have an aptitude for that. So that's fine. That is that is fine with us. So for such people, it can be the bhakti marga, fine, or maybe the karma yoga, maybe fine, or the yoga itself. So all these where techniques are there. Most people, 99% of people will go for techniques and methods. Only 1% will go for Jnana Yoga, something like Sankhya and Advaita Vedanta. Very rarely you will find a pure Advaita Vedanta mind, the analytic mind which can see that. Most of us, we may be doing Jnana Yoga, but all the time in the end you get stuck with karma. So this is the thing, and I assure you, if you go through this properly, that's why these different options are there. Others, why not just one philosophy for entire Hinduism? No, because each person is different. Each of us is different. Our likes are different. So some are more poetic, some are more emotional, some are more mathematical. So you can't give same philosophy to everybody. Each one. to his own. And the guru has to see, guru normally decides, okay, this child, this disciple would do better with Gyan Yoga, or this disciple, better with Bhakti Yoga, like that. Because disciples, sometimes they can't decide what's good for them. So in that, a good guru can be a great help. Even you yourself can analyze yourself. That sometimes we discuss in class, that you can look, introspect, think about in nature. What kind of person you are? Do you like to ask many questions? Do you like to find a reason for everything? So do such things, analytical things interest you? So if that's the case, then maybe Gyan Marga is better for you. And but some of you may not like that. Some of you say, see, I'm not interested in all those questions. Who made this world? Why they made? How many tattvas? How many gunas are there? I'm not interested in all that. Just make help me achieve peace of mind. So some people are just interested in that. So there are different types of people. And again, I'll tell you, nobody can be 100% pure Jnanamargi. Nobody can be 100% yogi. Nobody can be 100% bhakti marg. Everywhere all the three will go together. Only thing is, for a person who is in Gyan Marga, the Gyan will be, there'll be more focus on Gyana. For Bhakti Marga, Bhakti will be more, they like to do bhajans, kirtan, such things more and more. And for Karma Yogi, the karma will be more. But knowledge also will go along, bhakti also, shraddha also will go along. Because without bhakti is not possible. How can you do Jnana Yoga if you have no shraddha in Ishwar Krishna or Kapila? It's a Maharshi Kapila who gave us Sankhya Yoga. So you have to have some shraddha, some bhakti in that rishi. That's what we do. So this is, I hope I've covered most of the things. If I haven't, please let me know.
So, Kuldeepji, we just want to let you know, we have Arun, along with Arunji, we also now have Hema Hariji and
Yes.
Vikramji, who have been your students in past courses. They're
Yes.
also on the panel, they will be able to speak. I saw a few questions about the tattvas and gunas, as well as what causes dukkhatraya. I don't know how much of a detail you want to go into in this webinar. Maybe you can answer it at a summary level,
See,
and
that
people are more
was, if you're
interested
not,
in delving in detail. They can, of course, take the course, which is coming up in the second week of October.
but briefly let me tell you, tattvas are the elements of nature. Sankhya believes there are 25 elements in nature. One is the Purusha. Purusha is the conscious, super conscious self. The Paramatma, what is also called Paramatma. In Vedanta, it's called Brahma. In Tantra, it's called Shiva. There are different names, but for the same thing. It's also called Atma. It's also called Paramatma. It's also called that. Tat Tvamasi, that thou art. The famous Mahavakya you must have heard. So which is beyond all attributes. So that is Purusha. Then you have the Prakriti part, which is dynamic. Purusha is absolute. No action in Purusha, but Prakriti is dynamic. It has the three gunas. Prakriti is called Maya in Vedanta, and in Tantra it is called Shakti, Shiva Shakti. But more or less it performs the same action. So it's the Prakriti which creates the whole world with these three gunas. There are three gunas: Sattva, Raj, and Tama gunas. It's whatever you see in the universe is a combination of these three gunas. They combine in different things, and each one, whether we are living beings or non-living beings, we all have these three gunas, and these three gunas keep changing. Their ratio keeps changing, and because of this, our personalities are different. You may be having more sattva guna, I may be having more rajaguna, somebody else may be having more tamaguna. So tamaguna person will be most of the time slow, lethargic, most of the time sleepy, make you also sleepy. And rajaguna will be all the time very active, very infectious, make you also restless. When you go to close to interact with a rajaguna person even for 10 minutes, the person will make you, at the end of it you'll feel restless. And if you interact with the tamaguna person for 10 minutes, at the end of the time you'll feel lazy, you feel like sleeping, you'll feel like as if somebody has given you some kind of an injection. So tamaguna also. And if you person who has more of sattva guna, if you go to that person and speak to that person for 10 minutes, you will feel such great peace of mind, just being, even if you don't speak to that person, just sitting next to that person is going to make you so peaceful. So these are the three different types of gunas I've told you, and it's important to understand the gunas because that's how our personality is made. And the good, although we are in the clutches of the gunas, the good news is that we can override these gunas, we can change our profile. If I'm very tamasic, very lazy kind of a person right now, I don't have to be lazy all my life. I'm not, caught into that. I can always change the combination. I can increase Raja and Sattva guna in me. That all. So that's the good news. So these tattvas, if you understand, and then of course, then we have this. It explains what is buddhi, intellect, mahat, ahankara. Ahankara is ego. This is the beginning of our problem. Ahankara creates all the problems. That's how it begins. Then from Ahankara comes the mind. So you have to understand what the mind is. All the problems are created by this antakarana, buddhi, mind, and Ahankara. These three are the problem creators. One simple reason, I'll tell you why. Because when you're awake, you may be jealous of your neighbor, you may be jealous of your competitor, you may be jealous of your colleague, or you may like also somebody, you may dislike somebody. All these things, hatred, love, hatred, all these things are there so long as there is this antakarana, the ego. So, but why do we say this is the problem? This is the problem because when you go to deep sleep, do you have any enemy when you are in deep sleep? Arvindji, since others are Vikramji, you may, I think you can unmute Arunji. Okay, Arvindji, you may be hating somebody, but when you're in deep sleep, do you hate that person?
No, I mean, I don't
You
hate
may
it,
love.
but in deep sleep, definitely not.
That's that's the only question. And similarly, you may be loving somebody very much, but in deep sleep, what happens?
Not even aware of them.
When you are awake, you may be thinking you are the uh, something minister, or you are a, a king of a particular country or something, very proud of your culture, very proud of your religion and everything. You think I am a great Vedantist, I am a great this, but what happens in deep sleep? Everything goes there because the ankara, the mind becomes almost zero during deep sleep. So that's why it is inferred that it's because of that, because of it's the ankara that is creating the problem. So you should know who is creating the problem, and then we can find a solution to that. And all these techniques and other things and discussions are there only to make the mind quiet. In the Yoga Sutram, the second sutra defines yoga as yoga chitta vritti nirodha. What is yoga? Because all the time on our mind there are these fluctuations going on all the time. Our mind keeps reacting to external stimuli, and that's because of that. If the stimuli is good, we feel happy. If it is disturbing, we get disturbed. And there's no end. The stimuli is unlimited, and that keeps bothering us all the time. And even in sleep, that it troubles us in the form of dreams and such things. So to achieve yoga, what you have to do, this mind, this wavering mind has to be quieted. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. And that they give some techniques. Yoga gives its own methods of doing it. Sankhya gives its own methods. Vedanta gives its own methods. Jainas give their own methods. Buddhists give their own methods. So everybody, the methods they try to give differently. That's fine with us. That's no problem. But the, everybody is trying to make the mind quiet. The Indian, whether it is the Astik or Nastik darshanas, they all deal with the mind. It's all understanding. It's the psychology, human psychology. Because mind is the one that binds us, the mind is the one that liberates us. It's the bridge, it can take us both ways. So that's the beauty. So we have to understand the mind, and that's why all these things are written. It's, believe me, all these philosophies deal with the mind, how to quieten the mind. Ultimately they deal with that. Yoga Vashishta is a fairly well-known text written by Valmiki, and you believe me, 24,000 verses, they all analyze the mind. No book in this world analyzes the mind so much. Those who are doing psychology, those who learn Okay, it's nice to learn Freud and Jung and the behaviorists and others. Fine, I'm not against that. But if you really want to get the grasp of what mind is, you must read these texts, the Yoga Vashishta, Upanishads, Gita. All these things are what? Gita is what? It's all about the mind. Arjuna is disturbed. Krishna is just trying to, put his mind back into balance. That's all. Those 700 verses, what are they for? 18 chapters just to make Arjuna see properly. Because if the mind is disturbed, all our decisions will be wrong. All decisions that we take will be wrong. Only a true yogi can take the right decision. All right. Now maybe
So,
our panelists. Yes.
sorry, Kuldeep. So I just wanted to mention that we are 45 minutes past the hour. So since our students, your students from the other previous courses are here, and you said you would have them speak about their experience, right? I don't know how you want to.
Yeah, they can speak or whatever advice they want to give. They could give. Maybe we can. Anybody can start. Arunji, maybe you can begin with. You can start Arunji or Hemaji, whoever.
Okay.
This is Arunji.
I can start. This is
Yes,
Arun Narayanan. A quick background. I have over 30 years experience in IT. So my undergrad is in physics, and then I did computer engineering. The reason I bring that background is, though I might look like a engineer, been a traditional Hindu for a long time, but over time, there is something that always interests us to learn more, right? So, and as health issues started cropping up, people tend to navigate, and I went to Ayurveda, and then slowly you start studying Ayurveda, and then you go, okay, the next step is yoga, right? You do yoga asanas, and then you start reading about yoga. So I landed up with Yoga Sutras. And then finally, I found that, okay, Yoga Sutras is the next level of Sankhya. So I was always waiting for studying about Sankhya, but I never got an opportunity. I've been a student with HUA for 3 years now. Love my time here, 3 years with HUA. And when this course came, I jumped on it. This is one of the best courses in HUA, the Sankhya Karikas. Like Dimanji explained, he takes to the 70 Karikas. He'll split into it depends on how he's going to split. He'll split, he may be taking 30 verses in the first part, and the second part, he'll take the 40. And he'll cover about 5 to 6 verses in maybe 1 hour or 2 hours, then have the discussion. The beautiful part is, though he will explicitly state his sampradaya, where he leans from, he will never belittle any other sampradaya, right? That is the biggest thing. He will balance it out so much, and he'll explain the Karikas as Ishwar Krishna intended, and then he will expose us to the various other sampradayas. He'll say, hey, this is what Ishwar Krishna said, this is the translation, this is probably what Vedanta says, and then he will leave it up to us, and he'll invite questions and discussions. That is a beautiful part of it. So this is a mind-blowing class that I would encourage everyone to take. I'm here to listen about Vedantasara, the next course that I plan to take. That's all I have to share. This is just a mind-blowing experience. The other one beauty thing is, I like the concept of where HUA and Kuldeepji is taking each verse and explaining it. This settles things in our mind little more than just reading even the best translations or commentary is not going to helpful. You take the verse, goes just straight to this, and he will also end up teaching Sanskrit words through those things. And he will ask us to recite it. So it's not like you just sit there and listen to the lecture. He will ask us to recite these shlokas along with him. So it's more of a participatory thing. And then there's a good round of discussion. So it's beautiful.
Thank you, Arunji. Hemaji, you want to say something? Muted. You're muted. Muted.
Namaste, Kuldeep ji. Not something I have lots to say, but I'm going to, of course, keep it small because of time. I'm actually a faculty with HUA myself. My husband and I, we teach on Hindu civilization. And I'm so happy to be in the mode of a student, especially with Dr. Kuldeep ji. And it's such a wonderful feeling. Somebody has written, it's scary about gurus. He's a real guru, and there's nothing to be scared about a guru. because a guru, the word gur itself means somebody who uplifts you. That's all. And Kuldeep ji's sessions are so uplifting because he uplifts both, especially with Sankhya Karika, he uplifts your spirits as well as he uplifts your knowledge. So it's extremely enlightening sessions. And like he said, one thing, there are these 6 darshanas, and like he said, each one will find a particular darshana appealing. And not only that, these 6 darshana are so designed that they keep taking you progressively. Actually, if you work, from the Gita to Vedanta to Purva Mimamsa, and then so you come back and back, and finally you just go to Nyaya, which is just pure logic of understanding the universe through just logic alone. So you can slot yourself in whichever way you want to understand this entire creation, existence, your role in this, your reason for being here. And with Kuldeep ji, the beauty is he is very clear. When you're doing Sankhya, see it through Sankhya. When you're doing Vedanta, see it through Vedanta. And he doesn't let you drift. So what happens is we normally come with our own baggage. We would have heard something from Vedanta, something from yoga, and something from different Gita and all that. And then we keep bombarding him with so many questions. Oh, what is this? What is that? And why not like this? And then he kind of brings you back and lets you experience that darshana or that school of thought for what it is. And mind you, his experience is pretty vast. I mean, from what I have learned by interacting with him, one, he has studied all kinds of philosophies, Western and Indian. And in Indian also, he has dealt with each of these darshanas very beautifully and in a very compartmentalized manner. He's able to keep himself compartmentalized in that sense. And secondly, he has also done psychology. So he understands the mind very well. And of course, he has done a lot of other very interesting things, which he will tell you when he does the course with you, when you do the course with him, rather. And so his analysis and explanation is just beautiful. It gives you so many perspectives, and as well as kind of introduce the language and the beauty of the thought and philosophy. So I'm extremely fortunate that I found this guru, and I'm so happy to be doing this, and I'm happy to do the second set of Sankhya Karika and hopefully the Vedantasara also this term. So thank you so much, Kuldeep ji, for all that you are showering on us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I don't know whether I can call myself a guru or not, but somebody was scared of gurus. So you don't have to be scared of guru, at least me, because this is an online class. I don't think I can really harm you from such a long distance. So you don't have to worry about that. That part is not there. And if you're alert, see, you have to be alert to yourself. Let's say I'm a rogue. So what? After a while, you know I'm a rogue, then you can leave. And so you don't have to be gullible. All of you are intelligent enough. Nobody can, people can exploit you only if you want to get exploited. Only if you're gullible, people will exploit. If you're alert, then you can't, and you have to take care of yourself. And I find it difficult to read questions while I am speaking, but I just sometimes the questions pop up. And somebody asked, how do you find a good guru? I think there is a question like that. Now the traditional answer, this is, you can't find a good guru, the guru will find you. How do we know who is a good guru or not? To know a good guru, you have to be a guru yourself. See, to know what is a diamond, you have to be a jeweler. You have to be a jeweler, only then you'll know what a. But I'm not a diamond, and I'm asking, how do I tell which diamond is good or not? I can't do that. So you just leave it. All you can do is, they say, you become a good disciple. And a good disciple, there are qualities of a good disciples. First of all, your intention for learning a subject should be good intention. You should not learn a subject just for the heck of it, just because everybody is learning, say, Vedanta or Sankhya. Don't learn just for that, or to impress others, or to, sometimes some people learn a subject just to criticize it later on, because they're against that topic. So they want to learn more about it, and then so that they can find more faults in it and try to criticize it. So these are not good intentions. Your intention should be just to learn that thing properly and benefit from whatever that thing promises to offer you. So be a good disciple, and and there are so many qualities of good disciples. They should be disciplined, right? They should be, disciple has to be disciplined, and disciple should also be of good character. Discipline should be there, by self discipline, and you should be able to bear hardships. For a student, there's nothing like luxury. You should forget luxury in student life. You should be prepared to sweat it out. And when all these things are there, and listen to whoever is teaching you. See, all this analysis you can do first, but once you have decided on a person from whom you want to learn, give that person some time to associate himself with you, himself or herself. It's just like how do you find a good doctor? Tell me. How do you find a good doctor? You're not a doctor, so you don't know who is. So normally by word of mouth, some people tell you, okay, you have this problem, you have this chronic headache. Oh, that's a doctor there. Even I had a problem like this, he cured it or she cured it. And you go and try. Without trying, there is no other method. Maybe that fellow cured my headache, may not cure your headache. Then you have to try someone else. That's how it is. Keep on trying. You're not signing a contract with anybody. And then the institution that's hosting that person also matters. Now, if HUA is asking some people to teach, so obviously HUA has done enough kind of a background search of that person, and only then they have invited them to teach. So that's how you learn. But there's no guarantee, and it takes time. You will do it. How do you find a life partner? That's how it is. You just do it. When you live with it, you know it's good or not. Yes, I think Sachin Vikramji is left. Let him also say a few words if he wants to. Then some other questions or whatever. Yes, Vikramji.
Everyone. I know everybody has said a lot of things about Dr. Bhimanji, but what I would say, all of his classes, I had doubts before, but all of his classes are so captivating, so full of knowledge that you cannot miss any. I mean, if he stayed there for 2 hours, I end up staying for 2 hours. If it takes you 2 hours to learn something, he will stay there for 3 hours. He's that kind of teacher. So if you are worried about his skills of teaching and what kind of guru he is, I would say he is one of the best teachers I've ever seen. And he has absolute knowledge of Sankhya. And I enjoyed every single class that I did not even miss one class. So all those 20 courses I took from beginning till end. So it was very captivating, engaging, and he is full of knowledge. He's very reasonable about everything. So if you have any doubts, definitely let me know, and you will love his courses. There is no other way. So, and it actually, personally, it got rid of some of my misery. I did not know that, but it got rid of some of my misery. So thank you, Dr. Dhiman. And I will take your next course just because I liked all the Sankhya philosophy.
Your understanding of Sankhya will increase more after learning Vedantasara.
Yes.
Because these are complementary.
It's like learning Sanskrit. If you know Sanskrit, then you will have a good understanding of all the languages in Bharat.
Yes, like
so
that.
it's kind of like if you
learn one thing properly, learn one subject properly. Don't try to learn everything. Just learn one philosophy properly. Whether it is Sankhya, begin somewhere, whether it's Sankhya, Vedanta, or Nyaya, wherever, but learn it properly. Once that is done, then others become fairly easy to follow. So this is what I would say. Because this is a class for Vedanta, I mean the webinar is largely for Vedantasara. I would also just give you something. Vedantasara covers most of the things that Sankhya does, but it goes further. It has so many things it discusses which Sankhya does not. It discusses the 4 Mahavakyas of the Vedas, and it discusses psychology very deeply. It discusses the Sukshma, there are the subtle bodies very deeply, and Ankara and the Tattvas, how these things are made. So this is, what's his name? Sadananda covers all these topics so beautifully. Once you get the grasp of this, I assure you, any Upanishad will be child's play for you. Gita also, you'll understand Gita so well. You'll now also you may be understanding, but then it will be more profound. I some of you may be taking these classes just for their own, peace of mind, but some of you might be taking these classes to enrolling in these classes to become a teacher yourself or a writer yourself. So Vedantasara is really very good starting point. Those who have done Sankhya Karika, I would like them to take Vedantasara, and those who have not done, never mind, because Vedantasara class is beginning, you start with Vedantasara, and after that, you can go to Sankhya Karika in the next round. This is what I would advise, and both ways it is good, either this or that. But you should begin somewhere. And let me tell you, the ultimate goal of, you won't believe it, the ultimate goal of all our philosophies is what? Moksha. Even logic, even nyaya, that also they says the ultimate thing is our own, the goal is moksha, so that you becomes so. But only thing, the solution is different. Nyaya people say because you don't think properly, you don't argue properly, that's why miseries are there. So they stress on argument, and you won't believe it, even Kama Sutra. Kama Sutra also, in the very beginning, it says the ultimate goal of Kama Sutra is moksha. So everything in India is moksha. Mathematics also for moksha, everything for moksha. Different avenues are there. Whichever you like, you can take that avenue and become free of the three kinds of miseries that bother us.
So, Kuldeep ji, there were a couple of questions. Maybe you can
Yes.
answer quickly.
Yeah, I would love to, because
What is the main differences between Sankhya Karika, or the Sankhya, and Vedantasara, the Vedantasara course? Like how would the Vedantasara course be different in terms of the knowledge that people get from it?
see, the structure, I'll follow the same structure. Even in Vedantasara, I'll be following the same structure. I'll be giving you the text, then breakup of the text, word meaning, everything. Then the thing will be
I mean, the
same.
philosophical difference. What is the difference?
Philosophical difference, I'll tell you. Traditionally, they say that Sankhya, of course, it's a rational thinking. Advaita Vedanta also is a rational thinking. Both are rational thinking, but there's some difference between them. They say that Sankhya is a dualistic kind of philosophy. It believes in two elements, major elements. One is Purusha, one Prakriti. They are independent of each other. And this is generally said about Sankhya. Secondly, Sankhya says there are many Purushas. The Purusha, like Vedanta says only one Brahma. Sankhya, they say there are many Purushas. That one, Purush Bhaktam is there. So that's another. And Sankhya is supposed to be Nirishwarvadi. That means Sankhya is supposed to not believe in God. So these three things make Sankhya different, because Vedanta believes only in one Atma, whereas Sankhya believes in many Atmas. Vedanta believes in Ishvara, Sankhya doesn't believe in Ishvara. Vedanta believes in only one Brahm. There's only one thing, only one element. Sankhya believes in two, Purusha and Prakriti. Now, this is the general understanding given to us. I don't agree with this. And they say, if only these three differences, the rest, Vedanta and Sankhya are the same. On other elements, they are same. Only at these 3 points, they differ. What are those 3 points? That there are many Atmas, then there is no Ishvara, then there is that there are two, Purusha and Prakriti are two totally different. So it's a dualistic thing. This is what generally said about Sankhya all over the world in all the books. But I disagree with it, because that's the reason I teach from the text. You read the Sankhya Karika, I'll show you the Karikas which says something else. Sankhya does not disbelieve in Ishvara. No Karika says, or no Sankhya Sutra also nowhere. Okay, and another thing, nowhere it says that there is no Ishvara. Sankhya Karika just does not mention Ishvara. That doesn't mean it doesn't believe in Ishvara. I'm not mentioning food here in this discussion. That doesn't mean I don't believe in food. I'm not discussing food because it's not relevant to the discussion. So Sankhya feels it is Sankhya Karika. I mean, not just Sankhya. Sankhya Karika. See, Sankhya Karika is one text which explains Sankhya. Sankhya is a philosophy started by Kapila Rishi, and his disciples wrote many texts. And there was on Panchashikacharya, he wrote a huge Shashti Tantra. Now, all those things are unfortunately lost. We don't have them. The oldest surviving thing is Sankhya Karika. 1200 BC at least. And that's one. And then you have Sankhya in Srimad Bhagavad, also in Mahabharata, also in so many things we have Sankhya. Why only Sankhya Karika should be taken as the, the yardstick to measure Sankhya? Then there is Sankhya Sutra also available. And in Sankhya Sutra, there is a talk of Ishvara in there. Sankhya Sutra, they talk of Ishvara. And Sankhya, forget about the Sankhya Sutra, even Sankhya Karika, I can prove that there are Karikas which show that there are not many Atmas are not there. Atma is ultimately one. But as you asked what the difference is, generally this is the difference. This is the difference. Otherwise, in many aspects, they overlap. That's the reason. See, in Gita, which is said to be an Advaita Vedanta text, right? Prasthanatrayam. Gita comes under the Prasthanatrayam to understand Vedanta. Then why is Sankhya? Second chapter is called Sankhya Yoga Dhyaya. So it is all about Sankhya in that. So this, these kind of unnecessarily divisions are created, which are useless. Don't worry about the divisions. You go for what is common between them and what can be beneficial.
So this I want to share with our viewers, our attendees today that the Vedantasara course is starting on October 2nd. I posted the link to that, not October 2nd, I mean October 2nd week. I posted the link to that in the chat. It is also available on our website www.hua.edu. The Sankhya Karika Part 2 course is starting the second week of October as well. That link has also been posted. The Part 1 course will be offered in the next quarter, that is the winter quarter that starts in January. So please do check it out. I also want to post a quick 2-question poll. So I request all the attendees to answer this poll. The questions have come up on your screen right now. So it's just a quick feedback on today's webinar, as well as asking about your interest in these courses. Please do answer those polls. And if you want more information about these courses or any other courses that HUA offers, please write to info@hua.edu. info@hua.edu. And meanwhile, Kuldeepji, there are a couple of other questions. I guess one of the prospective students is worried about homework. He wants to know how much homework is involved in these courses.
See, homework, I make you work enough in the class, so you don't really have to do any homework. But that homework is for your own good. If you have the time, you do it. Otherwise, but at the end of the class, at the end of the course, you will have to answer one assignment, and that's not very difficult. You can do that in 2 hours time if you have understood everything properly. And in that assignment, of course, you can make use of your notes. You can refer to them, so you don't have to be so worried about it. But otherwise, I normally give you some questions just to think about. If you feel like answering them, you can answer, because what happens is you should cultivate the habit of writing. If you don't have, most of us are forgetting how to write these days. So it's nice, so that when you answer the final assignment, but it's not compulsory, and this won't be marked daily. The weekly, if at all there is an assignment, that weekly assignment, there will be no marks for that. It's for your benefit, and I'll not ask you. If you don't do it, I'm not going to tell you why you didn't do it. If you do it, fine. If you don't do it, okay, no problem. So, but at the end, the last assignment will be marked. So that's important. And attendance is also important, because if you get marks for attendance also. So sometimes you may do very well, but then because you didn't attend more than half the classes, so somebody else who may not have done that well may get marks equal to you, or maybe a little more than you. So try to be present as much as possible.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Is that answered? Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So I just want to remind those of you who may not have answered the poll, it may be flashing somewhere in your Zoom screen or on your screen. Please do check it out and respond to the poll. We have about 51% of the people who answered. Meanwhile, there is another question. One of Yashpalji wanted to know if there is a dictionary where he can understand all the different terms. There were a lot of Sanskrit terms that came up in today's webinar.
Yeah, see, what happens is, because I'll be giving my notes, one thing, okay? And in my notes, some nearest English translation will be given. So that will build up your vocabulary. Plus, I'll give you a vocabulary of Sankhya that will be given to you. I'll also share vocabulary of yoga and Vedanta, even if it is whatever the class may be, whether you're doing Vedantasara or whether you're doing that, I'll give all the three, and this is free of cost. They'll be posted in this in the reading material thing. You can make use of that, plus some text PDF versions of some of these good books on these topics, which is Vedantasara. Then Vedantasara will be provided. So you have my notes, plus you have. I assure you, at the end of the course, your own vocabulary at least will increase a lot. Most of the time what happens is our vocabulary is it's not that strong, so we don't understand what's being said. Like Ishvara, what is Ishvara? Now you know people have different ideas of what is Ishvara. Guna, what is Guna? Some will say quality, some will say Prakriti. What is Prakriti? People will say nature, because that's how you understand. So these vocabulary is there. If you are, see, I'll run as much as you want to run. Don't worry about that. If the more you learn, I'll give you more. So all the text will be there. If you have the time, wonderful. I'll be too happy. Most of the time, people don't have the time to go through all the reference material that I provide, but that's there always. And apart from that, they make a WhatsApp chat group also. So there also you can discuss and ask some urgent questions if required. That's how it is.
Okay. But in general, other than outside of the course, if people want to refer for Sanskrit terminology, is there any specific dictionary or website that you would recommend? We do know about one website. It's called Dharma Wiki. Dharma Wiki, which is a project that is supported by HUA. It's a project that is run by enthusiasts from IIT Mumbai and a few other places, and HUA supports it. So it has a lot of information about Hindu dharmic concepts. Dharma Wiki, you can look it up online. But do you, Kuldeepji, do you personally suggest anything?
Yeah, there is one. See, Sanskrit dictionary is not easy to use. Let me tell you, I also had a lot of problem initially, because unlike say English, it is alphabetical A B C D E F. So any word like efficient, so you go under E and you get it. Somewhere you can find it. But Sanskrit, it's not like that, and many things will not be listed uh, independently. So you have to go to the root. You should know the root of the word, and also Sanskrit dictionary. But the good news is that one of the oldest dictionaries is called the William Monier Dictionary of Sanskrit, written about 120 or 30 years ago. That's available online. It's called Dictionary of Spoken Sanskrit. You may note it down, and if you search it in Google, you get that Dictionary of Spoken. So in that, the good thing is the script also. You can type in Roman script also. If you don't know Devanagari, you can type it in English or in Roman script. Let's say you want the meaning of the word karma, so just type Karma, and it will give you all the meanings immediately within a sec. Whereas in a dictionary, it takes a long time to find. So anything, karma, dharma, prakriti, what's the meaning of prakriti? So you just look, what's the meaning of Brahma. So that dictionary is very useful. I find it very useful and quick. You get the results very quickly for first reference. So so that's one. And let me tell you, the best way to learn is not by memorizing the words. That won't help much. It is better to learn a text and slowly. I'm telling you, if you do Vedantasara, at least 200 words, new words you learn, at least, if not more. So though that itself is not a bad thing. If you do it in part one, in about 3 months, in 11 classes, if you get 300 words, next 11 300 more, then you do Sankhya. So there also, because meaning in Sanskrit, let me tell you, depends on the context. Meaning, there is one word meaning, no doubt, but it's the context that decides what the meaning is of a word. For example, a word like Atma. Now, what is Atma? So sometimes the Atma will refer to that Paramatma. Sometimes it will refer to that. Sometimes it will refer to Jivatma, the individual self. Sometimes Atma will also refer to the body. So if now which one is the right meaning here? So that's where the context helps, or That's where the guru will help you. See, here the Atma doesn't mean Paramatma. In this context, Atma means the body, like that. So you don't worry. I'm telling you, you'll fall in love with the Sanskrit language. Most of you will be, later you will be encouraged. You will yourself feel, like taking up a elementary Sanskrit course. And HUA, Hindu University of America, does offer such courses. You must, whenever possible, do that, because without learning the original language, you can't really enjoy it. I can tell you, most of for example, uh, if you poet Bharati's poems, if you want to really enjoy his poems, then what? Do you think a translation in Hindi or English or French or something will help you? Okay, it will give you some idea, but you have to study him in Tamil. Similarly, others like Rabindranath Tagore, if you want to enjoy the beauty of his poetry, you must learn Bengali. No, translations are okay. They'll help you, no doubt. But the original text you have to learn. And let me tell you, the more you learn Sanskrit, you will get some different kind of pleasure out of learning Sanskrit. And your in-depth understanding of the subject will increase manifold. And you don't have to depend on interpreters to tell you what the shloka means. You should be able to interpret it yourself. So that's that kind of a thing can be done even if you don't know Sanskrit now.
Dhanyavad, Kuldeepji. I don't think we have any more questions. Any closing comments from you before we end today's webinar?
Thank you. Maybe okay, questions they have been asked. Can we take the Vedantasara? What is that? Can we take Vedantasara?
Yeah, so the question is, can we take the Vedantasara course first and then the Sankhya course? I think you already
I told you, you begin anywhere. It doesn't matter. You can, because now Vedantasara course is starting. You begin with Vedantasara, no problem. Then after that, you can, after doing Vedantasara properly, you can go to Sankhya. Either way, it's fine. There's nothing, no. Because as I said, the differences are only few. Most of the things are similar in Sankhya and Vedanta. Most of you, I'm sure, who are in this class, they like Upanishads and Gita, etc. That's the reason they maybe want to learn Vedantasara. And I promise you, if you learn Vedantasara, a new door will open to you. Those same Gita which you have been studying for many years will open up more. You will see, you go to greater depths. Right now we have been going only till say 3 feet or something, till knee deep. But once we get the grounding of Vedantasara, you will be able to deep skydive into Gita and Upanishads and other texts. That much I assure you.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you need not be scared of anything. You have nothing to lose. Except your three kind of dukkhas are there. You may lose them in the process if you really understand this text.
Dhanyavad, Kuldeepji. So if there is no other thoughts, we will end today's webinar. So once again, to remind everyone, the Sankhya Karika 2 and Vedantasara course, it's starting the second week of October. We have many other courses also starting in the fall quarter in the second week of October. Please do check our website www.hua.edu. I also want to remind everyone that the certificate program in Hindu studies, so it includes these courses. So if you are going to be taking multiple courses anyway with HUA, then please consider joining the certificate program in Hindu studies. It helps lower the individual course fee as well. To sign up for the course, sign up for the certificate and then take these courses. So please check out all the other programs and courses we have on our website as well. So with that, we will end today's webinar. Thanks a lot, everybody, and we hope to see you in next week's webinar.
Thanks for
Kuldeepji,
coming.
Hemaji, Vikramji, and Arunji. Thanks, everyone.
Namaste. Namaste.
Thanks for your
Thank you.
time. Great. And hope to see most of you in the next class. And it will be a long association. And you can also check out HUA's other programs. You may find other programs also very interesting. They are doing a great job, I would say, regarding this. Thank you. Namaste. Dhanyavad.
Namaste.